Heyo, it's Mayo. I haven't made any videos for a while because I have been procrastinating. I haven't wanted to make this video, even though it's the next video I wanted to make, but part of me really didn't want to talk about it. This August, and probably by the time I post this video, it will be the 5-year anniversary of when I got sick. And that's what today's video is going to be about. I did tell my story in my valedictorian speech a year ago, but that was the softened version. It was a lot light and fluffier, and I had to shorten it a lot. I've been wanting to talk about this more in better depth and a little bit more real and not so light and fluffy and optimistic when that's not really the reality of my life. I feel like for the 5-year anniversary of me being sick, I think I owe it to myself and a lot of other people and other people going through similar situations that I need to be more real about this, and I need to tell a more in-depth version of what it's like to be sick for 5 years. So here we go. Hopefully I don't cry. I was 14 when I got sick. I went to 3 days of high school and then I was no longer able to go. The first symptoms I had when I got sick were headache, nausea, and tiredness. That's it. I had those 3 things. We thought it was the flu. 1 week of being sick turned into 2, and 2 weeks turned into 2 months, and I just kept getting worse. To shorten what could be an extremely long story, I should write a book. For the next year, we searched. We were in and out of doctor's offices, in and out of hospitals. We were seeing specialists. I was getting my blood drawn on an almost weekly basis. I had x-rays, EKGs, an MRI, I had a Holter monitor, tons of things that we did. It was countless tests on all fronts, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I was 14 when I got sick. I was 14. The last time we went to a very well-respected children's hospital, which I will leave unnamed, we were sent to pain management, and they separated my mom and I into 2 separate rooms and had a psychiatrist psychoanalyze us. And they asked us questions like, do you want to be sick? Are you faking it, basically? They interrogated us in separate rooms. I was 15 at the time. We left there deeply offended, deeply pissed off, very discouraged. I remember cussing a lot in the car. That was the last time we went there because we left there with a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and they told me to get a therapist, go see a physical therapist, and manage my pain because basically it's just what I had to live with. Now, naturally, we weren't happy with that as being a result. They treated us like we were crazy. How could anyone just accept that? We were told countless times that California doesn't have Lyme disease. All along the way, for an entire year, everyone told us, California doesn't have Lyme disease, you can't have that. And we ended up, after the very offensive thing at the children's hospital, we ended up seeing a naturopath. I'd been tested for everything, and at the end of the year, there was just a small list of things I hadn't been tested for, and she's like, hey, let's go for it. I know they're rare things, it's probably very unlikely that you can't have those. Sure, Lyme disease isn't super common in California, but who's to say? So she tested me, and Lyme came back positive, along with Ehrlichia schiefferensis, which is in the tick-borne illness family. It's rare enough that we got a call from the CDC, and they asked my mom, where did she get it? Was she treated? No, I was not treated for an entire year. And the CDC told her, wow, that's amazing that she's still alive, because typically that's lethal within 6 months of having it if left untreated. So that was kind of a get real moment for us. So after a year of being sick, we finally had a diagnosis. We had a doctor who was listening to us and not treating us like we were crazy. And after a year, my symptom list had grown exponentially. So my beginning symptoms were a headache, tiredness, and nausea. By a year, I had a severe migraine that had not gone away for a year. I had extreme fatigue. I couldn't walk 10 feet without needing help or without blacking out. I was exhausted by just walking across our house. I was so nauseous that eating was a serious difficulty for me, and I had lost weight. I'm gonna read off my list because I had to make a list over here because my symptom list is so long. I had a low-grade fever, I had extreme light and sound sensitivity, I had severe insomnia, and at my worst I was sleeping every other day. That was fun. It actually kind of was fun. I had severe nightmares. I would wake up multiple times a night, sweating, hyperventilating from severe nightmares. I would hallucinate late at night. I lost weight. I had chest pain. I had heart palpitations. I had really bad brain fog to the point that I couldn't do school. I used to be a straight A student and suddenly I couldn't do simple addition. I had short-term memory loss to the point that I would read a sentence and by the time I get to the end of the sentence, I couldn't remember the beginning of it. I had a constant tremor in my hands. I had muscle twitching, just random all over my body. My legs were purple. My nail beds were blue. I developed scars in the middle of my back. It started as a rash in the center of my back and then it progressed and grew and it scarred and I still have scars. And that's just the physical symptoms. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot too, but that's my physical symptoms. And mentally, I was a mess. I was severely depressed, I was suicidal, I was having multiple panic attacks a day. My anxiety was so bad that I didn't like leaving the house, I didn't like driving, I couldn't go in the kitchen anymore. I got PTSD, my OCD got really bad. I had germophobia, which was fairly reasonable because my white count was dangerously low, so I kind of had to be. And I had depersonalization, which is just a fancy way of saying that I was very detached from my body and my mind, and depersonalization makes everything feel like nothing's real. You're just very spaced out and not there. It's in the family of depression. I was so extremely emotionally numb that I didn't cry for almost 2 years. My entire life fell apart and I didn't cry once for 2 years. To put into perspective how sick I got, to compare it to my normal life before I got sick, the month before I got sick, I was in water polo training over the summer. I was doing 300 to 400 sit-ups per practice. I could swim for hours at a time. I could tread water for hours at a time. I could do a bunch of push-ups. I was in the best physical health of my life. And academically, I had a 4.0. I was in all honors classes. I was set up to go easily through high school and go straight to university. I was at the top of my game academically and physically. And then within a month, everything just fell apart. Fast forward 5 years, I'm still sick. I had a really bad winter this last year. I've developed mast cell activation. Mast cell activation is a histamine intolerance. It's a fancy way of saying you have allergic reactions to everything. It got bad enough that I was having allergic reactions daily. December was probably my worst. I was really, really bad, both physically and mentally. I haven't had an allergic reaction since December, and I'm doing really well. This is the best my health has done and the most stable it's been in 2 years. Last year around this time, I was in the hospital. Last year alone, I was in the hospital 6 times. These are all of my hospital bracelets from last year. I was mostly in the hospital last year for heart and chest related problems or for allergic reactions. And so far this year, since January, I have not been in the hospital. So, yay! Progress! These are also some stickers I saved from when I had a Holter monitor a couple years ago. I decorated my stickers. I save a lot of the things from when I'm sick. And that brings me to the next thing. I have trash bags full of pill bottles that I'm going to show you. 5 years worth of pill bottles. Woohoo! Hi, this is my puppy Tramp. He wants to be a part of this. These are trash bags full of pill bottles. This is the reality of being sick for 5 years. This isn't even all of my pills either. Just think about that for a minute. At my worst, I was taking almost 60 pills a day, and right now I take 1 pill a day. I'm taking an antihistamine to help with the mast cell activation. As a 5-year reflection, I was 14 when I got sick. When I was 14, I was really depressed. My life completely fell apart. and I was forced to come to peace with death as a very realistic possibility for me. I don't remember my 15th birthday. That is something I realized in the last week. There's a lot of big blank spots in my memory from when I first got sick. It's all a blur of doctor's offices and white walls and needles and blood, and it's mostly a blur of bad stuff. And I think all of the blank spots in my memory are probably self-preservation, trying to block out bad things. For the life of me, though, I don't remember my 15th birthday, which for me it's hard. I think the fact that I don't remember it says a lot about how sick I was, that I kind of blanked out. By 16, I had made a friend. I remember on my 16th birthday, I was really happy. I curled my hair, I got dressed up, my family decorated the house before I woke up. But having a friend was huge for me because I had been friendless for a year and a half, which isn't an exaggeration. I had 0 friends for a year and a half. That friend is still my best friend to this day. By my 17th birthday, I'd made more friends. I remember I celebrated with my family, and I think I went to the movies with my brother and his girlfriend. By my 18th birthday, I had more friends. I had a boyfriend. I was in and out of the hospital a lot, but emotionally I was doing okay. Last year I graduated high school as valedictorian. I gave a speech, and off of that speech I was asked back to give a motivational speech to the teachers of our community. So it was a good year overall, more or less. And my 19th birthday was not so great. I was deeply depressed and deeply suicidal. I was really, really sick, super underweight. I was just getting over having allergic reactions constantly. And I was so depressed that I didn't think I was gonna live to see springtime. And I did, which is pretty amazing. And now, 8 months later, after my birthday in January, I'm nearing 20, closer to 20 by now, which is weird. I am the happiest, healthiest, and most grounded I have been in years. We have a group of about 7 doctors we consult with almost at all times, and it's a very intricate process, all of the advancements we make with my health. It's a huge group effort, there's no more guesswork involved, and it's paying off, which is kind of amazing. I haven't been this close to normal in 2 years or so I'm really happy about it. That is closer to a full story of my health and what it's like to be sick for 5 years. It's insane to think that I've been sick since I was 14. I feel like I've lost so much time, but at the same time, I feel really blessed for the people that I do have in my life now that I've met due to my situation, and I'm really proud of the person I've become. This is my story. All of this. All of this. My life revolves around pills and hospital trips and tests with stickers. This is my story. This is me. This is the reality of my life. This is something I'm probably gonna make into a book someday. I wanted to talk about other things in this video, but it would be too long, so I'm gonna make a second part to this video. In the next video that I make, the things that I didn't get to fit into this video, it's going to be things I have learned from being sick for 5 years, things I want other people to learn from my situation, and things I want other sick people to know. Important things. So stay tuned for the next stuff. Please comment, please like, please share, and come back, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye! Classic Mayo.